So a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the aesthetics industry for 12 years now. So back in 2005, I bought a franchise, long story cut short, but it led me to do every aspect of the business, except the injecting, of course, but every business marketing function, admin, accounts, customer service, bookings. So who's doing all that on their own? It's a big job, isn't it? Yeah. It's a lot to handle, and I totally understand that. So 12 years, things were very different. You could pretty much open your doors and they would come, pretty much. Today, lots of competition, would you agree? Yeah, lots of people obviously wanting to leave the NHS, jump on the bandwagon, you know, and join the flurry of practitioners out there. So it is a highly competitive marketplace. So the first part of today, I'm going to talk about what I see happening in the marketplace. So the first section, don't be all disappointed and gloom and doom. It's the 9 mistakes that I see out there, or some of the key mistakes that I see. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you all to learn from these. So would you all agree it's cheaper to learn from someone else's mistakes than it is to make your own? Yeah, good. So that's kind of why I do what I do, because in the early days I made all the mistakes. I spent thousands on print marketing. We didn't really have social media then. It was very different, you know. But we did used to do demonstrations, and people would flood around to see them, and we were really busy. But high turnover, not much profit, too many people getting a slice of the pie, practitioners running around everywhere, and I was left with the crumbs, shall we say. So I've learnt the hard way, been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and that's why I do what I do now, to share learning, shortcuts, not cutting corners, but shortcuts, and obviously strategies. As long as I don't share anything confidential, I can share lots with you guys, and that's what I do. So I write for quite a lot of the magazines, speak at pretty much most of the events. Who's going to CCR next week? A few people. 5th and 6th at Olympia. So if, for the newbies particularly, this Independent Practitioner Today series is a whole 12 months getting started in aesthetics. Each article is on the website. And there's also, because I give away lots of free things, and there's a reason for that. Hannah, can you remember what that is? Don't worry. But this is a free download. It's a very long but very useful ebook, report, whatever you want to call it. That's the website. We're just getting a new website done actually, but do download that if you haven't done already, because not only is there lots of free advice in there, marketing and business advice, once you're on our email list, you will get useful emails every week about marketing, business, etc. Okay, so part 1 then, like I say, don't think gloom and doom. This is me teaching you these. Don't forget this afternoon we're going to go into solutions, but this first part is what I see happening out there. So this is not solutions right now. Okay, so mistake number 1, no plans, no goals, busy being busy. Who feels like they're on that hamster wheel? Trying to do all of those jobs. Yes, it's a big thing, isn't it? Often struggling to make a decent living. I think a lot of people do see this opportunity and think, oh great, £300 a treatment, I'm going to, you know, leave the NHS this time next year, I'll be rich, Rodney, you know. It's not that easy, is it? Would you all agree? Yeah. So if you haven't got a plan, how are you going to get there? So we've only got, can you believe, 3 months until the end of the year. Who actually has got a plan? Who did have a business plan this year? Who had even just a 1 page written down, this is what I want to achieve? Amanda, yeah, a couple of you. But we've got 3 months until the end of this year. You're coming up to the busiest period. Think about, by the end of Christmas, when you're exhausted, what do you want to have achieved by then? How many patients, how many clients, what income? What's the plan for next year? Who's actually got a plan for next year? Do they know what they want to achieve? A couple of people. I mean, ultimately, if you haven't got any clear objectives, even, like I say, it doesn't have to be War and Peace, but just one document, one sheet written down, get it out of your head and onto paper. Be very clear. You know, if you know you want to gain 20% increase in profits, or you want to improve the retention of your existing patients because more competition's opening up and people are, you know, going off elsewhere to have a look, see what else is happening in your local area. Perhaps you do want to invest in the new technology, you know, and that's why you're here today. So do you know how you're going to get a return on that? How are you going to promote it? Yeah. When do you need to get a return by? Perhaps, I mean, most people jump to this one first. Number of new patients. Most people say to me, I just need more patients through the door. But actually, no. You need to retain your existing patients and you need to do a lot with them. We're going to be talking about patient retention and client retention this afternoon. That's should never be the first thing. So I'm going to give you lots of ideas about how you can retain and make the most of, ethically of course, your existing client database. Increasing the average spend is one of them. So the national average is about £250-ish with injectables. Obviously it's less if you're not doing injectables. So what can you do to get your patients, clients, through the door more often, spending more, so they're not running off when a new competitor opens? What can you do, like I say, to get them coming back through the door more often? Because guaranteed if they were with you and they've disappeared and you're not keeping in touch with them, they're going to feel something's missing. You know, it's called, who's heard of perceived indifference? Yeah, you kind of feel they don't really care either way about your business. You know, we feel that sometimes as consumers. If there's a regular restaurant or bar that we go to all the time and we recognise the staff but they never recognise us and we just know they don't really care either way. If you do not keep in touch and ring fence your existing patients and clients, they will be off, especially today and even more so. So if you think about the world in general, you know, obviously agricultural revolution, then the industrial revolution, then we've just been through the information age. Now we're coming into the service revolution. Pretty soon, every clinic is going to be competing on price and it's all a commodity. You know, people can't tell one clinic apart from another. So how can you differentiate yourself? We're going to be talking about that. Service is one of them. Service revolution, definitely. Perhaps you want to increase your local profile, or perhaps you want to actually increase your profile within the industry. Who wants to be a speaker, trainer, speak at the events, get on stage? Yeah. We're going to talk about branding in a minute. Perhaps actually you want to improve the impact and results of your social media marketing. Who doesn't get the social media marketing? Who knows that it can be improved? Yeah. So the session this afternoon, we're going to be going through, if anyone wants to volunteer for me to do an online live audit of their social media and give you some pointers. So let me know, have a think about that, your social media and your website. Perhaps you actually just want to increase the number of inquiries you get from your website. You keep seeing that people are coming on there and then they're bouncing straight off, but the phone isn't ringing. Why is that? So I'm going to share with you a good website with one of my clients that he's had built recently. So do you know what you want to achieve? And just by the end of the year, it could just be one thing. Yeah. So think about it. I hope, I wish, I believe is not a strategy for a profitable business. Would you agree? Yeah, the amount of people that say to me, oh, I think I've got about 200 patients. I think they spend, I don't know, who's still on paper? Yeah, who knows they need to get from paper onto a system, so at least they know all of these. Yeah, so if you don't know your starting point, how can you know where you're going and how you're going to get there? So even just the basics, we're going to talk about that in a second. So successful practices, any successful business is created by design, not by default. Yeah, sorry, I'm right in the way. So, like I say, even if it's just one sheet of paper, do not let busy being busy happen to you. Because either you end up, suddenly the business that you've built isn't the one that you wanted, and you don't know how to stop. Some people come and talk to me, they've been in business 10, 15 years and they just want to get off that hamster wheel, and I genuinely don't know how to. Just busy being busy, and they're not. Suddenly that business they thought they would build for themselves isn't happening. Or worse, this is happening. So who hates figures, maths? Yeah, this is generally what happens when it comes to figures. I'll talk about that in a second. But successful businesses plan ahead. They've got focus, they've got clarity, they've got a clear plan of action. So, Dr. Patterson, you've been in business a long time. You agree with me? Hillary? Yeah. Definitely. You need to have, in fact, I mean, we follow a lot of successful business owners. We've got our own business coaches, of course, have to practice what I preach, but we need that help. Everybody does. Focus is the number one thing that will get you to where you want to be. All of this busy world that we live in, where we're all addicted to these, and this distraction that we have every day, even just an hour a day, ignore it. Get some focus and work on your business. So, Aisha's not here. Where is she? She's due to come. So, one of my lovely clients, this lovely lady here, she's on her way with Esther, her clinic manager. So she's got a beautiful clinic in the heart of Oxford Circus. Clients of Eden Aesthetics. In fact, it was her that introduced me to Epionce, etc. When we first met, she knew what she wanted, but it wasn't happening. In central London, lots of turnover of staff, couldn't keep the good ones. It was really, couldn't keep the good ones. It was difficult to find the good ones, let alone keep them. Long story cut short, Aisha wanted baby number 2. She knew she needed a plan. She wanted the business to be working independently of her while she went off on maternity leave. And we literally got it out of her head, onto paper. She did, out of everybody I know, worked her socks off to really make it work. They went back to basics in terms of not missing anything. That whole client journey, patient journey, from the website through to the phones, through to greeting at reception, every aspect, recalls, reminders, follow-ups, they literally had it nailed, and Esther's come in and really helped her really improve things as well as the clinic manager. But in terms of having a plan and a vision, she knew what she wanted, she knew there was a time scale, and she's made it happen. And this year they've hit I always set 3 targets with my clients, and she's hit the most outrageous one. So she's done fantastically well. How are we doing for time? I tend to talk a lot, sorry. Feel free to ask questions. We will have time at the end of the day, and everyone's just sitting there all quietly. So this is a big one. That guy with the horrible brown suit, yeah? No visibility or understanding of finances or profits, who just literally gives it all to the accountant. There you go, or the bookkeeper. Yeah, and at the end of the year they get something and they go, okay, thanks, yeah, and pop it in a drawer. No idea what it is. Yeah, who does that? It's quite normal in this industry. But who actually does know their figures? Did anyone know last year's figures? Revenue for last year? Who knows that? Profit? Good, I was expecting, yeah. Actual profit margin? Who knows that? We did a really useful exercise, didn't we, Hannah? We had a couple of boot camps a couple of weeks ago, and we did a profitability exercise. Very eye-opening when you look at what you're charging your clients for your treatments, how much it's costing you to deliver those treatments, and not just taking into account obvious stuff like products and consumables, but actually overheads, staff time, mistakes, follow-ups, consultation time, all of these things. We had a lady in the room, it was when you were in Leeds, wasn't it? When we worked out the profitability of one of her injectable treatments, she realised she's been running around like a headless chicken and earning £12.78 from one treatment. So big eye opener. If you don't know how to do that, you do need to learn. So gross profit before the tax man, net profit, net assets. You know, if looking at equipment today, that's an asset. How are you going to make that asset work for you? As Daniel Priestley, one of my favourite authors, would say, how are you going to sweat that asset to make it pay? So how much operating cash flow have you got? You know, if you're thinking of investing, you need to know these things. If you can't answer at least the basic ones pretty much and find the answers without referring to your accountant, then you need to know these things, yeah, as a matter of urgency. So if you don't know, we're going to go through the basic stuff that you need to know in a second. This is the basics. How many new people, how many existing patients, who's on your database or in your paper files, their average spend. Yeah, if you worked it out, so last year we took in 100 grand, we saw 100 people, you know, we know the average spend, it's easy. But more importantly, not just how much they spend each time they come and see you, but what's their lifetime value? So what do you do to ring fence them and keep them within your business so they don't run off elsewhere? And how much do they spend average, you know, over a lifetime with you? So the reason I say that is because if you're doing marketing, which I hope you are, we're going to talk about that later, and you're measuring the return of the marketing, so you know you've spent, I don't know, £100 on a Facebook ad and it got you 2 inquiries and one of those turned into a booking, that one client cost you £100, yeah? If you know throughout their lifetime with you that they're going to spend on average £2,000, how many £100 do you want to spend to get £2,000 clients? Does that make sense? Rather than thinking, oh, I know what my marketing budget is, you know, for this year. Most people go 10% of my turnover are chuck at marketing. Actually look at it differently. How much do you want to spend to get a client through the door? Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know why they chose you? Who actually surveys their clients? Who you need to ask them why they chose you, how they found you, why they come back to you, how you make them feel, because then the more of the good patients that you like, and they like you and they spread the word and they turn up on time and they pay and they don't complain, but the more of those, the more you know about them, the more you can find others like them. Does that make sense? So just find the basics. Where do they hang out online? What social media do they use? But when you find out, when you look at your video testimonials, why did they choose you? Then you can use their language in your marketing. Makes a big difference, because then it really talks to other people just like them. That makes sense? Yeah? So, less stress, more income, you've got to know your numbers. Would you agree, Hilary? Definitely, yeah, you've got to. So, retention, according to Allergan, the average retention rate in the UK is 55 to 65%. This is really low. Where are these people going? They're going to your competition. So if you're not rebooking people before they leave, if you're not recalling them, reminding them to come back in to see you, where are they going? But this is usually what people say. Yeah, I don't understand it. I prefer to just abdicate it, give it to somebody who does know. I don't want you to become accountants, but I do want you to understand at least the basics and have those figures at your fingertips. Otherwise, you're not actually going to be able to grow a business because you don't even know your starting point. And back to the horrible brown suit again, this is, you know, oh la la la, I can't do maths, I won't do maths. I used to be like that until I had my first business, and then I learnt quickly that you can't be like that. So, the reason I say this, if you know how much it costs to run your business on a daily basis, a weekly basis, so if you know you've added up all your bills, all your outgoings, and it costs you, for example, £5,000 a month to run your clinic, obviously if you're in London it's a lot more, that equals then £36 an hour just to break even. Yeah? So you've got to, don't wait to see your accountant at year end, you need to know if it's costing you £36 an hour just to pay the bills, what are you going to do to get at least treble that? Because usually, I would say, you're talking about, for those that do injectables, a third of your income goes on products, roughly, a third on your overheads, and then a third for you, roughly. So, are you getting that? And is every member of your team, are they paying for themselves? Are they profitable? Is your equipment profitable? So, no one cares about your money as much as you do. Would you agree? So don't abdicate it. So, these are all the things that you need to know. So I'm happy if you want to take a picture of that, but you definitely do need to know these things. By the way, in terms of slides and things like that, if anybody wants to stay behind, Adam's going to be doing video testimonials and things, but you can get copies of slides if you do Facebook review or video testimonial later. And we're also recording it as well. You did press record, didn't you? Yeah. Hence the... Okay, so these are the things you need to know. You need to know this. Oh, and that, sorry. Net assets, that's your, not just your equipment, that's your staff, that's your branding. There's lots of things. There's 24 actually, to be exact. So, not knowing is a bit like driving your car without a dashboard. You don't know when you're going to run out of fuel, when the warning lights are going to come on. Yeah, that's a good way of remembering it. So, be in control before it's too late, because the marketplace, would you agree, is changing? Yeah, you all look so depressed now. Sorry about this. So, like I say, all gloom and doom this morning, but I'm trying to teach you some things so you can be aware, especially if you're brand new. God, in hindsight is a great thing. You know, if I knew a lot of this in my early days, damn sure my first experience of business would have been a lot different. So, little or no competitive advantage, competing on price, feeling like they're being left behind. This is a big one. This one. So, is this you? Are you competing on price? Are you fed up of new competitors opening? Are you giving too much away? Are you attracting the wrong type of patients? You know, the ones that moan and ask about price and discounts and all the time, you know, turn up late or they forget to turn up. Are competitors stealing your patients? People not returning? Lots of things that I see as symptoms, but basically the actual root cause, if you think about what's happening in the marketplace, there's a massive amount of people, you know, competition out there, and lack of differentiation between clinics. You know, people quite often, if you get phone calls saying how much do you charge for Botox, it's because 9 times out of 10 they don't know what else to ask you, because they're just doing what we all do as consumers. They're looking at, right, if that one looks the same as that one but that one's £20 different, cheaper, I might as well go there. You know, they don't know how to tell you apart from your competition. So that lack of differentiation is becoming widespread, and that bold line, obviously we know between medical and non-medical, but the bold line is getting fuzzier, isn't it? So, there's very few practitioners that have a unique advantage. I mean, like really unique. Because if you're new, you know, and if you just started out, 9 times out of 10, you don't know how to get new clients. You're going to compete on the obvious thing, which is price, to start with. So, the marketplace and media, you know, they think they're better informed. How often do you get people that come to you and say, oh, I know I want Botox, or they think they know more than you, but actually, you know, are they well informed as they should be, or is it your job to help educate them and help differentiate yourself, showcasing your expertise? You know, that's part of the reason I give so much away. So what knowledge could you give away to showcase your expertise and stand out from the crowd? How can you really offer such a compelling and exceptional patient-client journey and experience that people come to you because of how you make them feel? Don't forget, you're in the business of feelings. You're in a very unique position, putting your hands on people's faces and having that emotional connection. So how can you really use that to make people feel special about themselves? Have you heard that thing, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel? And people will remember that feeling. So differentiate yourself as much as you can, because ultimately, if you can't stand out, neither will your income. Amanda.
So I was just going to ask, you know, you were saying about obviously giving stuff away. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, you were saying also be careful what you do give away.
Yeah.
That in a bit more detail later.
Yeah, I think, is it on one? Yeah, on this afternoon's. But I would say just, if we just, can you make a note of it? I haven't got a board, have I? Anything like that I know we're going to cover in this afternoon, just make sure I answer it then. But yeah, ultimately, if you can't stand out from the crowd, your income won't either. Yeah? And as much as we love what we do, we are in the business to make money. Yeah? So, The solution then, don't compete, differentiate, create a niche, build a brand, become known for something. So who knows what their competitive advantage is? Who knows? Good. What do you do that's better than anyone else? Brilliant. I have to be a little bit specific. What do you do differently to anyone else? What do you offer that no one else does? And ultimately, why should patients choose you, or clients choose you, over your competitors? We just spent 2 days doing this exercise with my clients at a workshop yesterday and the day before. 2 days. And these are experienced practitioners. This is not an answer that will happen overnight. But if you know, are you articulating it? Is it coming across in your marketing? Have you asked your patients to look at your marketing to see if it really talks to them? So, home exercise. I would really have a think about this. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be found for? How can you provide your patients with the best overall experience? But not just the best, actually, an exceptional experience. Because if you can't do that and you've got no other differentiators, 9 times out of 10 you will be competing on price. And are you then using videos, because it's better if you get your patients to sell you for you, so use video testimonials to reinforce why people chose you, how you make them feel, why they come back to you, so that they reinforce everything you're talking about on your marketing, on your social media, your patient promise, your unique selling points, your standards that you adhere to. Yeah? So, treatment and equipment on their own are not unique selling points, because nobody is you. You know, you've got a unique approach. Perhaps you've got a nice combination of treatments combined with your skills and your, the best equipment and products to get the best results. So you don't have to kind of really overthink this. It could just be a signature treatment that you create a name for, you package up, you get great results, and you're using a mixture of equipment and products. Yeah? So there's a great example of that. Who's heard of River Aesthetics? Yeah, so one of my clients, about 3 years ago now, I think it was, that they got in touch with me. 2 GPs, Victoria and Charlotte. Basically, long story cut short, they knew they wanted to leave the NHS and not be GPs anymore. They wanted to build up their practice that they'd had part-time for many years. And they wanted to separate themselves from the market. So it didn't happen overnight. In fact, it took a good 18 months until they had something really worthwhile, and they turned that into a trademark called the River Lift. So this was basically, you can see them on the TV here, this was Silhouette Soft Thread Lifts. I know you, obviously, unless you're a doctor, you can't do Silhouette, but they had a celebrity, not an A-lister, somebody who needed some work. They got magazine exposure, newspaper exposure. They are, they've just opened in March their 3rd clinic, but they really did differentiate themselves and get a signature treatment. Yes, Paul?
They really trademark it.
Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, the combination treatment, not just Silhouette. They do it with other things, yeah.
They really trademark it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So, the reason I mention them, not only have they built a massively successful business, but they realised they needed to stand out from the crowd. They wanted to be known, and they were getting frustrated that they weren't, getting known. So they needed to find something unique, and they did it. And, you might argue that it's not unique, but they've jumped on a bandwagon, and they've rode that wave, they created their own wave, really, and it's really worked for them. So they've now got, they use the best expression in the world every time I text them to say, how you doing? Bonkers busy is how they say. So they are bonkers busy, they're fully booked, they're oversubscribed, yeah. Great marketing book, oversubscribed, Daniel Priestley. So, mistake number 4, marketing is not patient focused and sounds like everybody else's. So this goes back to the previous one. Yeah, ask your patients why they chose you. Listen to your testimonials, read them, watch them, use their language, because most websites, most marketing is We do this, we do that, we do this. What do I call that, Hannah? Incontinence marketing. We. Yeah, it's about your patients, not about you. Even on your About Us page is just a good way of remembering it. So think about the marketplace. So you've got two types of patients: those new to treatment, those dissatisfied and looking for an alternative. Is your marketing talking to both? Have you actually profiled your ideal client? Who actually has spent time profiling their ideal client? Yeah, we spent a lot of Monday doing that with my clients. Have you actually segmented, your clients so your marketing is talking to the different types of people that you get through the door? The key to remember with any marketing, especially in aesthetics, because it's such an emotional thing, don't enter the conversation that's already going on in their head. Don't try and start a new one. So what I'm trying to say there is, obviously we need to be ethical about this. You can't say, oh, suffered from a recent divorce, come and have a facelift. You can't say that. But what you can do is enter that conversation. What's that negative thing that's going on in everybody's head every 5 minutes? Oh, I don't like the way I look, my saggy jowls, this, that, everything. What are they talking to themselves about? How can you break through all that noise that we're all surrounded with out there? How can you cut through that and all those distractions to really talk to them? Does that make sense? Not easy, but just think about this. Put yourself in your patient's shoes, in your client's shoes. That's the easiest thing to do. Who's actually been a full paying patient before? Yeah, not many of you, just a handful of you. So how do you know what they're feeling if you've never been there? Really know. And how can you use your marketing to talk to them? So this is the easiest principle to remember when it comes to marketing and advertising, the AIDA principle. So you need the first A to attract their attention. So are you fed up of your sagging jowls? Are you looking for a solution to, your crepey skin? You've got to be obviously ethical. You can't be too, but you've got to grab their attention. Think newspaper headline. How can you then stimulate their interest so they keep reading your post on Facebook, your article in the magazine? So you've grabbed their attention, you've got them reading. Now how can you keep their interest? Yeah, so you've got to start using benefit-driven language. Not about you, not about we do a dermafrac. What does dermafrac do for them? Yeah? How can you then stimulate some desire? So use before and afters, obviously not in Facebook ads, but in your marketing, ethically. How can you create desire using patient testimonials and videos talking about the treatment that they've had and the results they've had? How can you do that in your marketing? But most importantly, don't forget the crucial bit. Tell people what to do. Action, call to action. Every bit of marketing you do must say, please call quoting code 1223 to get whatever it is you're offering, or please, just tell them what to do. Don't do what I see quite a lot on Facebook. People say, call us, click here to visit our website. Don't forget to quote, they're 2 or 3 different call to actions. 1, keep it simple. If it's on Facebook, people are in their news feed. It's, social media for a reason. You're being social. You're interrupting their experience with your post and your news. Yeah, you want to drive them from there to your website to read more about what you're talking about. So perhaps that could be the call to action. That's the one we use a lot. So learn more. So anybody like Amanda, who's been on my email list and marketing list for ages, anyone who signs up, they automatically get learn more. They don't get book this ticket or whatever. They get learn more. Yeah, because then we take people to a landing page that talks about a workshop and goes into detail or whatever with videos and things. So better whiz through quickly. This is a quick one. Website looks the same as everybody else's. Whose website is blue and white using the same old stock images? They're not anywhere to be seen on there, and it's saying we do this, we do that, we're great, we're experienced, we do. Yeah. I see this a lot. Now I'm going to show you. I'm not going to do this now because we are kind of running out of time. When we do the live social media and website demonstrations, I'm going to show you, this is one of my lovely clients, Dr. Ian Strawford, Skin Excellence Clinics. He spent a lot of time, effort and money building not just a great website. I mean, ignore the fact whether you like the design or not, that's not important, but what is important is what's in there. A huge amount of assets, before and after photos, I've never seen such a big collection, videos, testimonials of videos, treatments being done. Seriously, the amount of assets that Ian's got and how much time, effort and money, like I say, he's invested into that. I won't share figures, he shares them, but I won't do that. But he's really built something that actually showcases his expertise. So when we do the next session, I'll show you that one. So who would like to be who would like a live website, social media analysis? I won't rip you apart, I promise. I'm going to be constructive. Amanda, yeah? Cool. Have a think if anyone else. Good opportunity to get some free advice. So, number 6, most people rely on 1 or 2 marketing strategies. Who just relies on word of mouth? On my patients and clients just refer people to me, and perhaps a bit of Facebook or a bit of website? If you are, you're a bit like this building, it's about to fall over. If you're only relying on 1 or 2, you know, you can't assume people are going to refer to you. You can't hope they will. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. We need your building to be held up by a lot of marketing pillars, shall we say, online and offline. So if you think about marketing, there are 2 ways of growing your practice, really. You've got the slow way or the fast way, otherwise known as the free way or the paid way, otherwise known as the organic way or the paid way. Yeah, we built a lot of our business up the free, slow, organic way. We didn't have a big marketing budget in the early days, but we did have useful information, expertise, videos, my ebook, etc. So what's best for you? The slower free way is content marketing, it's blogs, it's articles, it's writing, social media, Google Plus has to be in there. It's local business networking. We're going to be talking about online marketing quite a bit later when we do the social media and the website, but you can't beat, we're all real people and real people buy from us. Yeah, get to know people in your local area. Who are all the movers and shakers in your local area? There's always one mum from the local school who knows everyone, and once you get in with her, you'll be, you know. So what about business groups? As much as they pain most people to think of, oh God, networking, but if you can find a really good one, you could do a lunch and learn, come and see me, I look really normal, I'm not scary. These treatments are normal, come to our clinic, you know, what can you do? Word of mouth, obviously you will do naturally. Video marketing, a huge one. First time I did a video, 32 takes, I sounded as robot and stale as they come. It was, hi, and it was awful. Just be yourself and get out there and do video marketing. Yeah, it's something that I force all my clients to do to push them out of their comfort zone. Events and speaking, not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a weirdo, I like it. Building your profile. Yeah, with your local media, radio, one of my clients, well, loads of my clients actually, radio, writing for local magazines and newspapers. Or you've got the faster, higher cost way. Oh, I forgot to change this slide. There's one that should be in the middle on their own, and I'm going to explain what that is in a minute because it's fast and it's cheap. But SEO, Facebook ads, Google ads, print media, don't waste money if it's not going to work. Same with radio and TV. YouTube ads can really work. Who am I following around YouTube? I was even watching videos of myself yesterday and myself kept popping up. That's called remarketing. So if my face is following you around the internet, that's called remarketing. There's a way you can do that, and it's fast and it's low cost. Really low cost. Obviously buying a second practice or franchising. So very quickly, because I'm running out of time, 6 golden rules of marketing. Massive one, all marketing should produce a measurable response. If you're spending that £100, has it worked for you? Yeah? Are you using consistent online and offline? So don't just suddenly go from 1 or 2 methods to 10. Just do a new one every month and just test it. Marketing's testing. It's all about testing. We could strategize. We could sit in this room for a year and strategize what people want or don't want with our marketing, but we're not them. So get it out there, spend 20 quid on a Facebook ad, see if it works. If it doesn't, pull it, try again, try something different. Educational, informative content. Don't hide behind your logo. Who's got their Facebook profile picture as their logo? People don't buy from logos, they buy from real people, so have a look and change it. Ensure your marketing is talking to patients' real needs and emotions, like we said earlier. So, sorry, nearly done. This is a big one. People not considering themselves as business owners, selling, sales. Oh, I don't do sales, I'm a nurse. Who's got Florence Nightingale syndrome? Who gives too much away? Yes, you've got a few faces there. This is quite common because you're all lovely, caring people. This is what you do. You want them to have that treatment. You feel sorry for them. You want them to look amazing. If people bought the cheapest, we'd all be driving that would be empty, that would be empty. None of us would have one of them. So it's not just about price, is what I'm saying. The psychology of pricing is in your mindset. If you are fearful, you've not got much money, or you're, tight with your money, you will attract those type of people. What you put out, you get back. Yeah? So, patient who comes to you for price pretty much will leave you for price. And in the market as a whole, there's only really the bottom 14% that will buy the cheapest. There's a tiny bit at the top that will only ever buy the most expensive. The rest of us are just looking for value for money, great experience, service, results, all the things we talked about earlier. Now, I know you can't see this, but the impact of discounting on your bottom line, so I said earlier, if roughly a third is for you. So if you've got 30% profit margin and you're giving away 10% discount, which is quite a normal, boring thing to do, you've got to sell another 50 full price treatments to get the profit that you would have done. Who gives away 10% quite often? Who gives away 20%? You've got to sell another 200 to get the profit that you would have had. So, communicate your value. 30 years experience, 30 minutes, but 20 years of experience. Or, I'd rather have an uncomfortable discussion with you about price now than an awkward discussion about quality later. Fair? So, good example, Dr. David Eccleston on their price list, on their treatments, on their website. Great video talking about pricing. Get it out there. We understand people are price sensitive, but however, this is why we stick by our pricing. Yeah? Good video to watch. And a great example of the lovely Dr. Ethna Brenner, this lady here, one of my clients over in Ireland. She used to give too much away. She discounted. If it was, raining on a Tuesday, she'd give a discount, In Ireland, people like a deal, don't they? You go there a lot, but basically, she was giving too much away. Long story cut short, her story is on my membership site because she did a talk at one of our workshops. She is now stopped discounting, put her prices up. She has embraced the business and marketing side. She gets 40 new patients a month. She's been on live TV in January, Friday night, the equivalent of the One Show, I can't remember what it's called now, injecting live on TV. She speaks at events. She's the one sending me emails now going, have you read this book? Have you been on this course? It's great. But not everyone wants to do that, appreciate that, but a big example. Do you want me to stop? We can come back to this in the next session. 5 minutes, cool. Mistake number 8, they only focus on their strengths. So again, I see this a lot in the market. Who is addicted to going to watch clinical training? Who loves seeing another good injection happen? Yeah, so if you only learn, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that, you need to keep improving your skills, but if you only focus on your strengths and you ignore what you don't, your weaknesses, you're never gonna get there. So basically, like I say, I'm a fan of leveraging your strengths, but a business really is only as strong as its weakest link. So what's your weakest link? Is it time? Is it distraction, procrastination, marketing, business, Finance, what's your biggest weakness? Are you spending all of your time getting better at what you're good at? Which, like I say, there's a place for that. But what is your weakest link? If you think how many good businesses have gone bust over the years, you know, one thing usually, whether it was BlackBerry, AOL, Kodak, Woolworths, you know. So what's yours? Marketing, sales, finance, ops? Have a think about that. Otherwise, if you only focus on your strengths, you're going to look a bit like those bodybuilders we see at the gym. Yeah, they're just a bit toppy. And then, yeah. So think about that in your business. If it's not your cup of tea to learn about marketing, find somebody who is good at it, but don't just abdicate it. Yeah, learn the basics so you know that you're delegating and outsourcing appropriately, so you know where your money's going and what's happening. Otherwise, if you just abdicate it, next minute, you know, your website doesn't look like you wanted it to, or your social media doesn't, and you've wasted a load of money and a load of time. So I would genuinely say, out of all the success stories, all the clients I work with, the ones that get the best results are the ones that appreciate, even if they're a busy doctor, they just need that basic understanding so that you can either, if they don't want to do it themselves, they can delegate it appropriately, not abdicate it. Does that make sense? You all know what I mean by abdication, don't you? Just, you do it, you're better at that, yeah. So, did you know you could be just one skill away from doubling your profits? I'll put that next year now, shouldn't I really? You could be, and it could be time management. It could be overcoming procrastination and getting distracted on Facebook. I know you all do it. So, what areas do you struggle with the most? I bet you know what it is. So if anyone sat there having an aha moment, or an OFM moment as we call them, what is it? What do you need to improve? And then I've left it to number 9, even though I keep talking about it all day, but abdicating, not delegating, procrastinating and wasting time. This is a biggie. Because there's always too much to do. Would you all agree, as a business owner, there's always going to be too much to do? I think we can kind of agree that that's always going to be the case. But are you focusing on what's going to make the biggest difference in your business? So, if you have ever abdicated a task, like we talked about, finances, social media, website, who's wasted money on websites? Social media, yeah. You know, I'll leave it to the experts, and the experts come in. This happens a lot with website companies, as I pick up the pieces and hear the nightmare that goes on. Oh, you know, they told me, oh, it was all sounded really technical, and they said, don't worry about it, we'll do it, you know, 5-10 grand later. And it hasn't worked for them in the way that they wanted it to, but they don't know why. They can't articulate what they want because they don't know, or they've had the wool pulled over their eyes. So I know you love what you do, you just want to focus on doing the treatments, I get that, but what I'm saying is just take a little bit of responsibility, because you are owning a business. So if you do just abdicate, you won't get the results, and your money and time could be wasted quite easily. So, how can you get more time then when you're busy with patients? Are you doing tasks that could be outsourced? Are you wasting time on, you know, £10 an hour tasks when you know that your time is actually worth £50 an hour, £100, £200? So one of the clients at one of our workshops earlier this year, she had this moment, OFM moment, when she realised that she was going to spend the next couple of days decorating her house. This was a doctor, a busy doctor. Why didn't she just find a decorator? She could have earned £200 an hour or more in her clinic, rather than, you know, pay someone 20 quid an hour or whatever it would be to decorate a house. So think about this, because if you've got lots of things that are getting in your way, how can you reduce your stress, remove those time vampires from your life, only spend time with positive people, there's too much negativity out there, and not wasting time and energy on things that are outside your control, which happens a lot on these forums, I know this.